Entering fantasy football season, see his two wide receivers I think are going to break out this year. The first guy, Traylon Burks of the Tennessee Titans. If you watch players to draft the receiver position, Traylon Burks was one of them, and I also think it's going to be a breakout season for him. So last season, I know he was injured for multiple weeks. He only finished the year 33 catches, 444 receiving yards, a receiving touchdown was last season for Burks. But now with DeAndre Hopkins as the number one wide receiver over there in Tennessee, he's going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage, and he's a deep ball threat, and he can run the route treat as well. And this Tennessee team, I don't think they're going to be that good this season, where they're going to be trailing in a lot of ball games as well and have to play catch-up. So Traylon Burks, with all those factors, one-on-one coverage, a receiver like Hopkins to learn from, and a guy who had decent rapport with Tannehill, if he's the starter this season, could be a player that could go out there and make plays. And right now, he's going 9th to the 11th round range is Traylon Burks, which I think is solid value for a guy either in 3 receiver leagues or a bench or flex spot is serviceable, in my opinion. So right now, I think it could be a breakout year as long as he's healthy. It wouldn't be surprising to me if we see Burks have about 900 yards to 1,000 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns this season. And like I said, as a third wide receiver or a flex option, he's definitely a serviceable player, receiver that's going to break out. I believe this receiver is Jordan Addison of the Minnesota Vikings. So the rookie here joins the loaded offense with Kirk Cousins, who had a solid year last year. Madison in the backfield, I think, will be solid as a starter. And obviously the best wide receiver in Justin Jefferson in the league and TJ Hawkinson. So a lot of one-on-one coverage we're going to see Addison get. So far in training camp, he's looked really good, and he's making all the plays out there, and him and Kirk Cousins are having a good rapport. I know in this first preseason game, it was only 1 catch for 22 yards, but he's got playmaker ability. And to get a guy like Addison in the 9th to 10th round with major upside, and a guy who could break out more in the second half of the season, where we see rookies, obviously the first 5-6 weeks of the season, ease their way in, and then most of them take off, or it's just a stagnant year. But I think Addison in this offense is perfect. Adam Thielen, he didn't really do much as the second wide receiver last season for the Minnesota Vikings, and they moved on from him. And with Addison here, who's going to be the number 2, and he could be a good playmaker. So right now, I think it's a breakout year for Addison. In his rookie year, wouldn't be surprised in 700 to 900 range yards, 55 to 70 catch range as well, and possibly 6 or 7 touchdowns. If you could get that, obviously, like I said, 8th, 9th round of your fantasy league is a flex option type of wide receiver. I think that's solid. So right now, in his rookie year, I think Addison has a breakout, and he's going to pay good dividends for fantasy owners. The next receiver is Sky Moore of the Kansas City Chiefs. So no help over their receiver in the offseason in terms of free agency. Hopkins, we thought, was going to go there. He went to Tennessee. Brandon Cooks, he was traded to Dallas instead of Kansas City. And now Sky Moore, last season, he got his feet wet in his rookie year. He didn't see the field much, only 22 catches, 250 receiving yards on 33 targets. But right now, there's no receivers over there in Kansas City, really. It's Sky Moore. You got Valdez-Scantling, but he's more of a deep threat and nothing. Juju left in free agency. He went to New England. You got the rookie Rice and Ross and Richie James. But I think Sky Moore, he could come out of the pack at least as their number 1 or 2 wide receiver over there out of all those players I mentioned. And right now, he's going later in fantasy drafts, anywhere from the 11th round or deeper. I've been seeing him go ADP-wise, and also in a couple of these mock drafts, Sky Moore's gone. So he's on a dynamic offense where you got Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback, obviously, in the league. You got Travis Kelce, and it's always going to be a pass-first offense. And Sky Moore, we know he's a burner and has speed. So right now, especially the value where he's going, and he possibly could be the number 1 man over there in Kansas City at the wide receiver position. He's definitely a receiver that could break out this season. It's just about opportunity. And I think this year he could crack 1,000 yards of Sky Moore with his speed and with defensive attention. It's obviously watching Mahomes with the QB spy, and also Travis Kelce, who's obviously and easily the best tight end in the league, being the number 1 target offensively for them, but it could open things up for more. And we know the history, obviously, Mahomes has with speed receivers like Tyreek Hill and McCall Hardman, and it's good history. So right now, I like Sky Moore as a breakout candidate this season. Next receiver is another speedster, Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. So we just saw a glimpse of what Christian Watson could do last season. The first 7-8 weeks of the year, he really didn't do much. A lot of drop passes, a nagging hamstring injury, but now he enters the season. I know Aaron Rodgers is gone, and went to the New York Jets. But he's the number one man easily over there, I believe, is Watson. Lazard, he left for the Jets as well in free agency. Randall Cobb. So those guys are off the roster. And now it's Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and a couple youngsters as well on the roster. So last season, only 41 catches with 611 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. So right now, Watson, he's going anywhere from 5th to the 6th round. And to be a number 2 receiver or flex option for your fantasy team, I think that's really solid. And like I said, he's a burner. And this Green Bay team, most likely, they'll be down in a lot of ball games this year where they're going to have to force feed Watson and throw the football 40 or 50 times, I believe, this season. So Watson, like I said, we know he's a dynamic player. He could get behind the secondary, and he could take a basic route, a slant, or even a screen and take it to the end zone. That's just how quick he is. So right now, to get him anywhere from the 4th to the 6th round, I think is very solid. He's going to be the number 1 over there in Green Bay. And you would think only up from here for Christian Watson after last season in the second half of the year. Like I said, he was a solid receiver, especially with a few games with multiple touchdowns. 5th and final wide receiver as a breakout candidate this season's George Pickens of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Pickens last season, a lot of hype coming into the year. But him and Kyle Pickett, they weren't always on the same page. But for a rookie season, still solid numbers, I believe. 52 catches, 801 yards, 4 touchdowns for Pickens on the year. So right now, last year, we know early in the year he wasn't in the starting lineup. Chase Claypool was there before he got traded to the Chicago Bears. But now from the get-go with another training camp with Pickett and Pickens here together, I think Pickens, he's going to have a breakout season. I think he does hit the 1,000-yard barrier this year and has 8 or 9 touchdowns. He's athletic, can make the catches. I know his route running needs a little bit of help here, and he's not a possession receiver, but that's what they got Deontay Johnson for. He can run the routes. He's a good possession receiver, but Pickens, he's more of the highlight reel, crazy catch type of player, and a guy who can make big plays out of nothing. So right now, I like Pickens this season. He's going 8 to the 10th round range in most fantasy leagues. And another guy, if you had to start the season with him as your 3rd receiver in 3 receiver leagues or flex option, I don't think it's a bad thing here for Pickens. But this season, I think the breakout's coming. Last year, there was inconsistencies, but he still had, like I said, 800 yards receiving. But this season, he's a breakout receiver, I believe. So that's a few wide receivers that I think are going to break out here in the 2023 season for the fantasy football year.